Good evening, and welcome to the March 27th, 2012 Waterboro Board of Selectmen's meeting. If you'd rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Beginning the agenda for this evening. Are there any announcements?
You have one?
I have one, but I'm deferring to the other selectmen if they'd care to go first, or if they have something that they'd like to bring up. Okay. I'm going to start off with a sad note, and then hopefully end on a good one. But on behalf of the board, I'd like to extend our sincere condolences to the family of Raymond Johnson, a longtime resident of the town of Waterboro who passed away. I happened to be speaking with one of his relatives earlier today, and he was reminiscing about how he used to like to go deer hunting with Raymond and how much Raymond liked recreational target shooting down at a range here in over in East Waterboro, a private one. He was 92 years old, so we certainly extend our best wishes out to the family during this troubling time. Also, down in Florida, the father of our town planner, Tom Ursher, has passed away. So our condolences go out to Tom and his family as well during this particularly rough time for him. On a slightly more happier note, the board would like to extend hearty congratulations to the Waterboro Parks and Rec 8th grade boys basketball team, also known as Maine Magic, who recently won the University of Maine basketball tournament in their division, and they've also won the 8th grade division in the state, and they're going to the state championships this weekend. It's going to be played, some of the games are going to be played, I guess, at Southern Maine Community College, and there'll be others that are played, I guess, at Bonnie Eagle and some other locations. One of the local coaches is Chris Burnett. We know from the Economic Development Committee and some of the other committees that he has been on, and he's one of the coaches. I don't know who all of them are, but certainly kudos to our Parks and Rec department for sponsoring this, and for the volunteers that took the time to coach, and for the team players that are doing really, really well. If they come in either first or second, and obviously we're hoping for first this weekend, they are scheduled to go to the Nationals down in Florida. There will be one of only 100 teams that started out across the country as 3,000 teams. So I think that that's certainly a significant achievement. Most of the players are from Waterboro. There's a couple from Alfred, and I guess there's one player from Shapley that's on the league team. So our best wishes certainly go out to them this weekend, and give it your best shot and hope it's a three-pointer. Any other announcements? Okay. We were scheduled to have an appointment this evening, but I don't see the young man here So for the time being, I'll move on to hearing and delegation. Is there anyone here that has any business they'd like to bring before the board at this time? Seeing none, we will move on. Correspondence this week, we have communications from Time Warner Cable's Internal Restructuring Information and Federal Communication Commission, Form 394. And I'm really not sure what that is with all their forms. I don't know. We have EcoMaine Neighborhood Recycling totals for January and year-to-date. The Treasurer's Weekly Financial Report, the Assessors Agent Report, Time Warner Cable's withdrawal of an abatement request, Representative Libby's newsletter, and confidential information received from the town attorney regarding the lawsuit. If you have any interest in any of the items 1 through 6, you can consult the Town of Waterboro website, or you can contact the administrative assistant to the town administrator or the town administrator's office, and we'll see that that correspondence is made available to you. Reports. Selectmen. Does any selectmen have anything to report at this time?
John, you got anything? I'd just like to mention the recycling rate. I would say it's probably averaging about 20%, which is certainly better than we had a few years ago, but I think we were averaging around 15 to 18% before the one stream. And they said the rate would go up about 3 to 5%, and it has done that. But I mean, here is an area that the citizens of Waterboro have, which they could impact the tax rate. I mean, if each family did something to recycle, we would see a tremendous reduction in tonnage down there and the cost for disposing of our trash. So I still urge people to recycle. If you are recycling, keep up the good work. And if you're not, please try to do something that will help the town.
Yeah, I'd like to say, echo what David said. You know, in looking at the rates that came out, we have room to do better. And we're about 17.5% this past month recycling. There are communities that are up to 46%, 38, 30. There's several 38, 32, 43, 39. So we can get there. So we have, we're about halfway there. So keep trying. It's just, it doesn't take much effort to take your cardboard, your paper, your cans, your bottles, and put them all in one place, and then the rest of your trash goes into the hopper. So it's pretty easy to do.
And when you're down at the transfer station, as you leave, you can see the transfer station staff post the figures down there on how much money the town is saving. And what we'd obviously like to see is that number rise significantly, because that will certainly help offset appropriations, during the tax year. Anything else? Okay. Town administrator's report.
Last Thursday, Gordon, myself, the road review chairman, and the road commissioner, we met with Maine DOT, 3 representatives from DOT, and looked at the old Alfred Road. Then moved down to the Hamilton Road Bridge. That is a town bridge, but they will be sending down their inspectors and engineers, and at least will help us come up with a plan. And then we went to the West Road, and there was an agreement that there is a serious problem over there. Again, they're gonna be sending down people, and they will be sending letters, and reports, but they said just hold on, because it's gonna take a while to get everybody down here and get everything. Also, I've been working with Attorney Pat Dunn on the personnel policy. She sent her suggestions on amendments, and I only got a few more to review. And then reminder that Thursday, from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., a representative from Senator Collins' office will be here for anybody who wants to come in and meet with her. And another reminder is tax bills are due April 6th.
Now, did the state indicate what they're going to do on the Old Alfred Road, besides the intersection?
No, well, they walked it, and they want the road commissioner to meet with somebody else from Scarborough office, and Doug will have a list, and they'll work on the list. They didn't feel that we was too far apart in what we'd like to see for the Old Alfred Road before the town takes it over.
Good.
You know, they walked the whole thing, and you know, Doug showed them, so.
When they came down here to talk to us about the intersection change, there was maybe 10 people here, and each one of those 10 people were against that design, came up with some suggestions. I'm wondering if they went back and made if you've heard anything about them making any kind of alterations with their plans.
I can address that. The road commissioner, Doug Foglio, gave me a call, and they have come up with a second plan, which they want to, they're limited on the amount of funds that they have, but they know that they want to do something. So as a start, they want to put in a small traffic island that's going to separate those lanes and prevent traffic on 202 from cutting across in front of the traffic that's on the Old Alfred Road, so we don't get that sudden stop where somebody cuts them off and then somebody gets rear-ended because of that. They're also going to put a stop sign on that island on one side, and we're recommending a keep right sign on the back of it, the island, and there'll also be a second stop sign that'll be on the westerly side of the Old Alfred Road. So as you approach that intersection, you're going to have a stop sign in the center of the road on that island and one to your right, but they're going to still leave that portion that's out there as a
Turn lane.
As a turn lane right now,
Right.
because we'd expressed some concerns about that. At some point in the future, as they may get more money from time to time, they're going to look at that location of that fire hydrant that's there, and they may want to set that back a little bit, allowing for that turning movement to take place a little more effectively there. So that's what they have on the drawing board right now, and the road commissioner is in agreement with that. He said it's a good start, and I've actually got to send an email up to the state letting them know, what our thoughts are on that.
It just shows that if you, when they have a hearing, if you go to it, you really can have an impact on, because they came in and they were ready to do what their plan was, and every single person in here was against it, and I think they felt that they had to go back and make changes, and that's very important for people. If you have something that you feel should be done and there's a hearing, go to it,
Yeah,
whether it be here or in Augusta.
I think they were enlightened by the people that did show up, in that's such a well-traveled road, and all the people had occasion to use that, and we're familiar with what some of the problematic issues are, and we're able to articulate that to them, and, you know, it created the change, so,
Great.
you know, kudos for people that show up. Anything else?
No.
I do have one other thing, because I know that it's been a concern of a number of people in town, including, you know, builders and citizens that are looking to either possibly, you know, do some remodeling or some building and so forth, and that's in the area of what are we doing with the code enforcement. I can tell you that the selection committee met with the last applicant this morning. We also, the town administrator and the other people that are on the interview panel, I know John Gale was there as well. We met Saturday morning from 8 to about noon, interviewing potential applicants. And right now, the town administrator's in the process of tabulating what the results were, and is going to be conducting some preliminary background investigations to, you know, check out work references and, you know, things like that before. We want to have all the information before we make a decision at the board, but we're probably looking at maybe a week and a half out before we may be able to have somebody on board. So just bear with us. We are moving along as expeditiously as we can, but we certainly want to be, you know, confident of the individual that is finally selected.
Most likely it'll be on the agenda a week from Tuesday, where the agenda has to be set by Friday. It's hopefully, if I get everything back, yeah, it will be on the agenda for Friday, for next week, but.
I know there's been a lot of public comment about that. I've been asked questions about it. I'm sure that at least one of the other selectmen I know has been asked questions, and the town administrator, you know, people, you know, when are we going to get somebody on board?
We do have somebody that's coming in.
Yes, we do, and
We do have a.
for those of you that don't know, we do have part-time people from other communities that are their code enforcement officer that do come over here and take care of things, so that there is some delay, but it's not significant at this point. But, you know, for large projects, we would certainly like to have our own person on board to be able to go with it from start to finish and so forth. So that's where we are on that. And I'm pleased to have with us this evening Sean Shoemaker, who's representing the Saco River Corridor Commission. Sean?
Good evening, ladies, gentlemen. Just give you a little update what the commission's been doing, because the end of last year, November, December, there was no meeting because of the holidays.
I'm sorry, I didn't know if you could hear.
Quiet.
I didn't hear that very often.
A slight technical issue. For all you lip readers at home.
Once again, represent Waterboro and the Saco River Corridor Commission, and we had no meetings in November and December because of the holidays, but we did have one in January. It's an interesting board to be part of, because there's you get a lot of varied things that come in, but in the month of January, we had 5 permit requests or hearing requests for review. One of them was they wanted to tear down their garage, build a new one. A couple of them were for time extensions on their permits, which is what probably 60% of our work that we do is people requesting extensions on their permit time. One of the other items that we dealt with last month was the company that runs the hydro dams on the Saco River. And they requested the Hiram Dam to be changed for the splash boards to be removed and putting in a rubber bladder system. And they just completed it they've completed that recently in Buxton with the dam there. And if you haven't had a chance to go look at it, go look at it. It's pretty neat.
In Buxton or in Hiram?
Buxton, the one in Buxton. Now they've asked to change the dam in Hiram. What it does is it takes all the boards down that are on the top that when they've got to lower the river, they have to go out manually remove them, or they get taken out by trees and logs coming down river, and they have to go in and manually replace them. These are rubber bladders. They rework the face of the dam, and they put these bladders in, and they control them in a control room on the side of the dam, and they can inflate, deflate, and inflate. One man on the side. Nobody's climbing out over the top of them and replacing boards. You're not getting boards being washed downstream that are never getting retrieved and things like that. It's really, looks like it's going to be quite a nice system. So I think their intention is to change them, probably all of them eventually. So we've approved that as well as all the other issues for last month. Everything was good. I have the agenda for this month. We will be having our meeting tomorrow night. We have 6 items that are unanimous consent, and what that is that's when the director of the commission feels those items fall within a certain parameter, that it doesn't need a full hearing, that you can just go through them, and all of those are time extensions. And the board and policy committee in the board right now is addressing that and looking at some of these requests, and are they asking for too much, too long? We've had some requests up to the 10th time. That's 20 years for a request for an extension on a building permit. That's a long time. We have one here that's a 5th time for tomorrow night, a first time, 5th time, first time, and a 2nd time.
They're not pulling the logs out of the river, are they, as they come downstream?
No,
to
these
build
are,
it?
yeah, and some people pull their permit, and in these economic times, I can understand needing an extension. Can't always get everything done, and it's, once you close that permit out, it's gotta be done. So I can understand, but when you start getting into 5th and 9th and 10th time, that's 10 to 20 years. If you haven't done it in 20 years, it's a matter of coming back, just reapplying. If nothing's changed, because we look at the criteria and make sure that nothing has changed that would affect that permit and what they've originally were requested and permitted for. So it's a matter of them just coming back and reapplying and paying the fee. So that's quite a few of the ones that we get, and we get a few. Right now we've got 2 for tomorrow that people want to put foundations under their houses, and near the river, and so.
Is there a graduated fee on that? Like,
No.
each time they come back, does the
No.
fee increase proportionally?
And that needs to be done because we spend time with it. We spend as much time with that as we do someone that, that has, who meets all of the full criteria and doesn't need a big hearing, that they've got enough frontage, their setbacks are far enough, they've got enough land, they don't need any of that, that's unanimous consent. They get as much time as the ones that come back for a 5th and 6th time extension. And there should be a fee. People should be charged for that.
I'm kind of interested in these bladders and how they work.
Yeah.
Now, is that, does that control the flow?
Controls, what they can do is if they have to drop the dam because the water's coming too strong and, we're flooding out and we need to open it, they can go over to a room in a building on the edge of the dam and they can release those bladders almost instantly. Instead of manpower going out, hanging off of gurneys.
It's not on a
and cables.
spillway or anything, it's up on
No,
the...
that's controlled through gates and stuff over there. This is on the main face of the dam, and the bladders are only so long, so they had to split them. So they reworked the entire face of the dam. And then they have to put stations in between to catch for the bladders to attach to. Yeah, it's neat. And some of the towns, because we were concerned, what's the longevity of this item? What's the impact? What happens if one of these things rupture and things like that? And there's been towns in other states that have had them for as long as 30 years. So this isn't new, but yet it is. I mean, they're finally coming to the technology has moved up here to the, in the safety factor alone, you know, if you watch a guy and he's hanging out there off a pole and he's strapped in and he's pulling boards up so that they can let this water out because the spillway is not fast enough to accommodate it, that's dangerous. And then they're waiting for the water to get down to a certain level before they can restructure. This, they can go back in, hit a button, compressors go to work, inflates the bladders up.
But then there's all those people that blow those bladders back up.
Yeah, yeah. You know, it's pretty interesting, and it's actually, you know, we have a dam in town, you know, like Arrowhead. And the boards blow out, how long does that lake stay dumped before they can get in there, you know, it's gotta drain down before they can get in there and rework it. Well, this is, it's pretty neat little system. And you're not losing, you know, logs and stuff like that are designed, they're round, so stuff that comes downstream won't get caught up as much. It'll actually go over. And your boards that you're losing on the surface that get knocked off, those go downstream. Those do not get retrieved. You're not losing those anymore. So it's pretty neat. And it's, you know, and anybody in town, you know, has an opportunity to look when they go over by the Buxton Dam, over the Plains Road and over the Plumbers area there. Yeah, you look at it, it's pretty neat. Yeah. So those are the kind of things that we see, you know, mostly. They're back, Nextera Energy is the company that is doing it right now. They come to us for an expansion for a temporary parking area, probably to do work, and need to get permission to create a parking area to do that in. But, so it's been interesting, and it's fun, and people, a good group of people up there, and there's a lot of people on board, a lot of communities, but Saco River impacts a lot of towns. Yeah.
And now, who funds those bladder operations? Where does that money come from?
The bladders?
Yeah.
The company that operates the dams. And these people are, Nextera Energy, I believe, is the one that's actually operating these dams, probably in conjunction with maybe Florida Light and Power.
Okay, so
It's the owners and operators of the dam.
So it's nothing that the taxpayer has to
No,
be concerned with?
no. And the engineering plans and stuff that they bring, you can see, you know, they've done some homework on each and every dam, and, you know, the presentations have been good, and it just looks like a really good system. But no, that's all, I believe. I don't believe there's any taxpayer funding. I guess we really didn't ask that, but it's my understanding that these companies pay for it. And it's, you know, saving them a little bit of manpower, it's saving them recycling, you know, reusable material, you know, and at the same time, they've been able to do some work to the face of the dams as well, which I think is a good thing. These dams have been here a long time, you know, if you don't do, you know, extra maintenance every now and then, you know, it looks like it's beefed it up a little bit on the face, so it should be good for everybody.
Cut down on the debris along the river from all those pieces of plywood and stuff that
Yeah.
wash downstream every time we get
Yeah.
a high rain.
Now,
Yeah.
you have a piece of plywood washed down with a big old spike in it, and it hits that bladder.
Yeah, but the bladder, and that was you know, that question was asked, you know, and I believe that these are sectioned off as well inside, so, you know, if they had a problem here, they wouldn't lose the entire bladder, they'd lose that section, and they could repair it, but pretty resilient, I think. I mean, they can take a tree with roots coming downstream, and it's gonna hit it and go over it, instead of taking the boards out, and it'll, you know, it's designed to take that impact, so, you know, I think the majority of the stuff that would, you know, come in contact with it should be able to clear it. So, I think for the future, it's a good thing.
Yeah. Sounds like it.
Sean, do you know off the top of your head, and you may not, but I know you control the Saco and the Little Ospey, the Big Ospey rivers, and the tributaries that run into it. Do you know how far back inland you go to those tributaries? I mean, how does that work?
I don't, but that's a good question, and I will get the answer. So the next time I come back, I'll have that
You'd like to
with
let
me,
me
because
know?
I'm really not sure, you know. I know that Ossipee River is impacted by it. Lake Arrowhead, or the flowage, is impacted by it, the Saco River, where it branches and how far that is. I don't know the answer to that.
I've always been curious if you could find out.
For our community, I mean, other than that, it
Right.
starts at the tip, and,
Yeah.
I mean, it's, it encompasses a lot of places,
Yeah,
you know,
I know, yeah.
Baldwin, Newfield, Brownville, Chapley. You wouldn't think it would get that far out, you know, into Newfield and stuff, but it does. Parsons Field, yeah.
Great.
Any other questions?
Thanks.
It's not. Thank you very much, John.
Okay, thanks
Appreciate
for
it.
appointing me to the board. Like I said, I enjoyed it. It's a lot of fun, and it's knowledgeable, and the people are good to work with. You get different perspectives from different towns. We don't realize what we do here and how it impacts the town of Saco and the water source and things like that down there. Getting a chance to see that what's happened upstream, how it ends up in the end. So, okay, thanks.
Thank you very much. And last but not least on our reports is our illustrious tax assessor.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, you should have the assessment report dated March 22nd, and I'll just go over it quickly. Since November, we've had supplemental tax billing, and that's an annual occurrence. Supplemental tax is really something that was missed from the original tax rolls for October, or there might have been something that was an error and needed to be corrected, and therefore that's one of the methods the town has to put another tax bill out. I notice on here it said $29,900. I apologize for the confusion we had a week or so ago when you were asked to sign the supplemental, but that was the original one that the board had approved back in January. And this took a while to get to the board, but this is the one that you had signed last time, but no backup. The assessing schedule's a normal thing that we put out. It kind of keeps track of what the assessor should do during the various 12 months of the year. That goes out every December to the board. Sales analysis return, main revenue out of Augusta, sends an agent down. In fact, he was down here today. They look over the taxing records, assessment records. Their main purpose for coming down is to try to verify the sales information that they have that go back about a year. If he has questions, he has the opportunity to look at the files, or we discuss anything that I may have to share with him about the sales. The purpose is to come up with the town state valuation, which, as we know, is going to be probably increased slightly, but it really depends on the valuation of the region in every town. Personal property declaration forms, we mailed out 265 of these a couple, 3 weeks ago. This is for business personal property and does not, we do not tax personal property such as stoves and furniture. I know the assessors of the old days did tax those kinds of things along with the cattle and the horse and sheep and all those. But this would be machinery that's used in the business, and even though the company may be leasing the equipment to someone that's operating a business in town, they are taxable, and we have their reports sent to us every year. Building permits began this week to look at the building permits. They're not as many as last year as we expected. New home construction is down. Quite a few additions and alterations that need to be looked at, and that should be done by July. Putting them in the computer and getting ready for the October tax bills. That's pretty much the report. Any questions I can answer?
I don't know the right term, Jerry, but I don't know if it's the homestead exemption or what, but I was speaking to this one citizen And they asked me if I had done it. I says, no, because I'm not eligible because of my income. And I said, oh, no, everybody's eligible for this. What are they talking about?
The homestead exemption?
Well, I don't know if it's homestead exemption or something else.
Circuit breaker?
Maybe it's a circuit breaker. I don't know.
Circuit breaker is a function of the Augusta, the Department of Revenue, property tax.
How does
And
it-
that is based on income.
Okay, what is the homestead exemption?
The homestead exemption is the fact that you reside in a property in Waterboro for 12 months, and you are a legal resident of that property. It's an 8.5 by 11 sheet that you would file with us. We have them here in the town hall. They're also online. And that would, as long as it's filed with us by the end, before the April 30th, that would provide a $10,000 exemption for the property. Right now, that would be worth $120 off the tax bill.
So that is not automatic, you have to sign for it.
You have to fill out an application. Some people don't remember, and they'll file a second one, so we may end up having two. But if one is not sure, the thing to do is they can call, because we could tell them if they have one. And if they're not sure, and they could also fill a second one. We look at them every single year.
Okay, so people have to sign for it, though?
Yeah, and being a resident for 12 months or more in the home where they're filling the application for is the key. They can't be, the dangerous part is being a resident here and then being a resident, say, in Florida. Florida kind of frowns on that kind of an arrangement. They do check.
Is
So-
that what the governor's wife got involved with?
Exactly.
Okay, so is this something you have to do every year?
No, you do it one time, we put it in the computer, and it pretty much stays there. If you were to sell the house or decide to move location, then of course it'd be a question in the following year as to whether it stays or not.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And this one's not dependent on income at all, it's just the
This is
fact
not
that you live here.
It depends on the fact that you are living at the house that you're applying for. It's that simple. If there are any
So-
questions, they can call, we help them through it.
Second, so where it does is it gives people a break when they're primary residents, but a secondary residence, you can't,
No, or a rental.
yeah.
No, rentals are not, or income property are not allowed.
I believe the town administrator had something.
So I would say with your report on the building permits, we're not going to have too much of an increase in our valuation.
No, it was not very good last year as far as increases go. I don't see a lot, to be honest with you. And some of the new construction permits for new homes, it's the same thing as last year. They take out the permit, but they may not build it. So, yeah, it doesn't look that good for a revenue source.
Just briefly, if you
Yeah.
could comment on something. I know that, David has heard about this a lot. He mentioned it at a previous meeting, and I know that we're all have those same thoughts about over-evaluation of property. And because of the economic times we're in, the town seems to value the property more than what the market value is. And there's, everybody's asking, well, why don't they drop, the price of my house down, devalue it so that it's more in line with that? And if you could just comment briefly on what that would do. I mean, the town has to appropriate X number of dollars. So by doing one, you alter the other and so forth. If you could just kind of briefly explain that.
I think the explanation for that, yes, we could, we're about 110% overall across the entire town. In other words, we had a revaluation, we were at that time roughly 100%, and as the market kind of depressed, our valuations stayed high or higher, and right now we're 10% above what we would consider the value of property as an average. But that's for the entire town, it's town-wide. If we took that 10% and reduced all the properties by 10%, that would not be the end of it, because that would reduce the the revenues that we're now getting from these homes that are being assessed, and we would have to turn around and add to the tax rate 10%. The dollar amount, because of that mathematical adjustment, would equal the same. So we would not gain anything by doing it. Most of the questions that we have is, why isn't my property value being reduced because of what's happening to the market? We would rather say that we're looking at the assessed value of all the homes in neighborhoods, and we make a judgment on the assessed value. In other words, if you have a Cape Cod on a street that has Cape Cods and all the values are fairly similar, it would not be fair to say, well, this one sold for a lesser value and the others have not sold, therefore that one ought to be reduced, say 10, 15, 20%. So I believe this board is also backed up the position that if the assessments are fair as far as within their own neighborhood, if you will, Cape Cods match the values of Cape Cods and ranches, and then they're fairly assessed. The only thing that comes into play is if there was an error. In other words, if we assessed a house that had one story and for some reason we assessed it as having two, that's a definite error, and that's something that we would certainly correct. But for the most part, the assessments are level. In fact, the agent who was here today looked at that kind of a scenario, and he indicates to us that we're going to be slightly 2% higher again. So instead of being 110%, we'll be 112. But like he says, it's no different than what's happening in neighboring towns. So it's kind of like a statewide problem.
Now, this percentage that you talk about, this 10 and 12%, it doesn't correlate, or it has nothing to do with the valuation 10% plus or minus on a property. Is that
No, you
correct?
mean in the defense value?
Right.
Yeah, no, that, this is 10%. All the properties that sell are compared with what the valuations are in the town, and the mathematical equation is it at 100%, which is even, or is it higher or lower? And we do a series of those for all the sales that take place within a year, and it gives you an average. The state does the same thing. And 9 times out of 10, we're within a percentage point of each other. In July, I'll be before the board giving you the annual assessment report, and that issue will come up again as to where we are with the assessment ratios and sales. And discussion takes place as to, what can we do to rectify the matter, but there isn't much you can do. Again, adjusting the ratio by 10% and increasing the tax rate doesn't resolve the problem.
So, I mean, a further explanation, a person with that's got a piece of property that's valued at $200,000, if they were to sell it today, most likely price they'd receive would be $180,000. Is that correct? In other words, that $200,000 valuation in 2007 is most likely devaluated now down to $180,000, lost that 10%. But on the other hand, if you cut the people the slack, you'd need to do it across the whole town, lose revenues, and then you'd have to jack up the
mill rate. The mill rate.
the mill rate and get the money that way. So you got to pay it either through mill rate or through valuation.
That's right, and some towns have taken that approach where they have reduced across the board 10% or 15%, whatever it is, and then they do, in the fall, have to rectify that loss, if you will, with the increase in the tax rate.
So the bottom line is basically, if it were to be done, is more of a feel-good move for temporarily until they're actually hit with the mill rate going up, and then that feeling is not so wonderful anymore.
Yeah, well, you're correct you think you're correcting the problem, and you are in a way by reducing the values. All the values we have were established at the same time across the board. And it was fine then when the market was going up, and a lot of times the market has always been leading the assessed values, traditionally. But in these times, they're not leading, they're kind of like falling, and what's happening is they're falling below the assessment. It's not at a rapid pace, but it's a percent or two, little by little. And what we're doing is adjusting the tax rate to make up for that difference.
And I remember, right, probably years ago, our rule of thumb was what, 10 million, 12 million a year we would get?
Oh, yes, new revenue?
12 million we would get on our valuation, and now
Yeah.
we get what, 1 million maybe?
Last year, we barely got $1 million
Yeah.
in new revenue.
So that makes a big difference.
Yeah, that's another factor that is thrown in that is also making the tax rate increase, because we're not getting the revenue.
All set?
All set.
Thank you very much, Jerry. I really appreciate it.
Did anyone go to the school meeting today?
No, the Six-Town,
Yeah.
no. I didn't get a chance. I had to pick up an animal at the vet that had surgery, so I never get over there. We do have that letter from Dr. Davis that was sent around that had the, and I can certainly get the minutes from John Sylvester on what happened today. All set to move on? Yep. Okay. Moving on now to new business. Discuss the traffic and crosswalk signs and signals. And I believe that this was an item that was brought up by Selectman Woodson. And if I'm not mistaken, it regards the signaling device that's on Route 5 by the lake, I guess, by the
Yeah,
campground.
I don't
Be
know,
more
do we have
specific.
enough information to discuss that?
You have the,
There were the two accounts and they're both the same, they're $10.62 a month, so about $22 a month.
for those two lights.
For how many months?
Well, we pay a little, is that what we're paying right now?
That's what we're paying now.
What does it say on, you have a copy of the?
I didn't-
Oh, okay. I want to say, because it has on the bottom of it what you paid in the last,
Julie has it, you want me to get it from
you want to look at it?
Well, I guess I'd like to have the whole board here when we discuss it. so,
Okay. All right.
And maybe a few more details, but it does benefit a private organization, I feel. I mean, it's a public safety thing, but really, who is benefiting the most, is my question. So, we could table it from,
We'll put it on next week,
Yeah.
and then we'll have time to get everything.
So you're saying the upkeep of the crosswalk ought to be
Well,
probably
I
the responsibility of the property owner?
yeah,
Yeah,
I do. The signals.
okay, yeah, yeah.
And maybe
So
the
if we add that
crosswalk.
to next week's agenda when the full board can evaluate it. Thank you. So then we'll move on. I guess I was a little premature by mentioning that earlier in our selectmen's report, because item 2 is discuss the progress in the hiring of the code enforcement officer. So it seems as though we may have already taken care of that, unless somebody has an additional question on that I might not have covered. Okay, I'll move on to item 3, discuss and vote to accept the resignation of a member of the Finance Committee. What is the pleasure of the board?
I will move that we accept Dave Williams' resignation with regret and extend to him a big thank you for the time he put in and wishes for his good health.
Yeah.
Second.
Second, I have a motion and a second to accept the resignation of Dave Williams from the Finance Committee with regret. Is there any discussion? Just briefly, I'd like to echo the sentiment of Selectman Gale regarding Mr. Williams. He's certainly a credit to the Finance Committee, did an excellent job, and his reasons for leaving are personal, and I believe have been informed they're health-related. So I think it's appropriate that you should mention that we hope his health situation improves to the point where he could once again assume a position on the Finance Committee, because he will be missed. There's no further discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? The motion is carried. Discuss and vote to approve an agreement to issue an over-limit permit for construction equipment for the Maine Department of Transportation project NH 1829600X for a hot mix overlay on a portion of Route 5.
I would ask Nancy if this is real-time sensitive, because I would like to get our road commissioner's view on this if
Oh,
we...
he's looked at it.
Huh?
He's looked at it, and the selectmen have done them before.
Okay.
It's just, yeah. It's
But
just-
there's a possibility of requesting the individual people who are doing the work to put down a bond on roads that they travel over with heavy equipment. So I'm just wondering that if we do require a bond from these people, what the bond ought to be. I think Doug would know that.
What roads are they gonna be traveling? It's not state roads.
is it in your packet? I was
I
looking.
didn't say.
Nancy, when we talked to Doug, remember you said it was kind of a moot point because we
Yeah.
don't have any posted
That's right.
roads anyway, so
Yeah,
they can drive on the town roads, there aren't any weight limits. So it's more of a
right.
formality,
Okay.
Okay.
that was what, yeah.
So Doug basically says his recommendation is to go with this. Okay, I will move to accept the template that the state had written to sign that.
yeah, the funniest thing is I found, looking for something else, I found the last one, one of the permits that the town had signed, and Doug's name was on it. He had done it as a selectman, so, yeah, it was,
Well, it's Route 5. Do we have to have a second to have discussion here, or what?
yes.
Yes.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve an agreement to issue an over-limit permit for the construction for the Maine Department of Transportation project. Is there any discussion?
Well, I guess, I would appreciate if I knew what routes they're taking. I mean, it's Route 5 from Bennett Hill Road, which is Dump Road, just south of that, to the Roberts Ridge Road, intersection of Route 5 and Roberts Ridge. But, I mean, they're either gonna be, Dayton, Pike, Carroll? I mean, they're gonna be, I would think, using the main highways to haul this stuff. I mean,
Probably right
if they
down
were
Route 5, yeah.
hauling over Deeran's Ridge or Roberts Ridge, I might be concerned, but I think we should have more information.
I think they're probably, most likely they'll be coming up 20205.
Yeah, So, I guess I'm just talking for the hell of it, I don't know.
Well, I was thinking maybe Doug had thought about all that stuff, and if he recommended that we go with it, because he's usually pretty protective of our, of us.
Chairman Bluefield, if I may.
Yes.
It did say in the information I read through that they haven't awarded the contract yet, so they don't know who the job's going to go to, so they can't say yet what route exactly
Okay.
will be used. Because it depends on the contract.
No, I think we're voting too early then.
Well, I think that the road commissioner said it was basically a formality. I think that probably what the state is trying to do is make sure all its ducks are in a row. And there is a paragraph in here that, where it says the state cannot force municipalities to allow overweight vehicles to travel on posted municipal roads. Municipal postings supersede overweight limits. However, the agreement requires municipalities to make reasonable accommodations for overweight vehicles that are operated by contractors and the MDOT in connection with a construction project. So I guess I guess we probably need to know the route to find out whether or not the municipality has to make any reasonable accommodation.
Yeah.
The last paragraph is the specific municipal roads involved are not necessarily known at present, as the contractor's plan of operation won't be known until just prior to the start of work.
I mean, basically, they're gonna do what they wanna do anyway. But I still would like to know, are they gonna be traveling over our roads that are basically town roads? I can't see that they're gonna because of the location of the job, but
Yeah, it's hard to visualize them coming in, whoever gets the contract, and they're working on that section of Route 5, that they'd be coming over during Ridge or anything but down Route 202 or down Route 5 from either direction.
Well, the project site is 5 and 202,
Yep,
so it would seem as those are the only roads.
That's where they're gonna be
that go
coming
on
from.
Anyway, so there wouldn't be, I guess, probably what, if they would have to divert down a side road or something to get a load of gravel, you know, to go back to the site,
yep.
would be the only contingency, I think, that might come into play. If they were using, you know, local pits and so forth, where they'd have to deviate from 5 or 202.
They have their own down in their own pit.
Yeah. So, you know, it may be that the whole issue is moot. But,
I just, you know, I guess in principle, I don't feel comfortable voting on something that I don't know what's gonna happen yet.
when do
Except for the chair now.
well, I guess we need to know when they need to know.
A month or so ago, didn't they send in a copy of the plan, what they was going to do? It might have been a little more than a month ago.
I remember seeing that.
Yeah, there was some
It was like.
correspondence.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure they're gonna put overlay and a finish coat on that section down there, you know? That's all they're gonna do. Maybe a little gravel on the side of the road.
It says to use town. They have an FAQ here at the end of it, and that one of them is why the blanket approval, and the blanket approval they seek is for reasonable accommodation by the municipality to allow Maine DOT contractor to use townways, if required, to haul overweight construction equipment and trucks. This theoretically gives the municipality and MDOT time to discuss exceptions to the blanket approval. In general, this avoids unnecessary risks and saves money for all concerned in the long run. We have a bond to be $14,000 per mile.
$14 per mile?
14,000 per mile or 9,000 per kilometer of traveled length.
I mean, what could be stated here too, is that in approving this, could say that any use of town roads would require a bond of $14,000 per mile for the road used. You know, otherwise, if you have the provider, or if you have the construction company coming in on Route 5 and on Route 202, no problem. But if they're coming in from any other area coming over a town road, then they got to post a $14,000 per mile bond. And if they're going over 2 miles of town road, then it's a $28,000 bond. There you go.
Okay, if we were to require a bond, that would be secondary to the payment bond and the performance bond that the main DOT requires of the contractor anyway.
The one they require, I assume, be for their own roads, the state roads, not town
This is for a
roads.
performance bond, so they make sure they complete the job.
Yeah.
They don't leave halfway through it.
You know, if this isn't major, time sensitive and we're kind of stuck on it, Doug comes back in a week or two. We just have him come in and explain it to us, and, gonna probably feel a lot more at ease.
Okay, this, basically, under the Title 29, which is the traffic laws and so forth, the contractor cannot exceed the load limit on a posted municipal road. So if we have no posted municipal roads, then, as Doug said, this is moot.
I think Deering Ridge is now, isn't it?
No, nothing
No,
is posted.
everything's been removed.
Oh, everything's been removed.
Yeah,
I know we had talked about that, but
yeah. No, it had been, but the road commissioner has removed all postings right now.
okay.
And I can't imagine any equipment weighing any more than Poland Spring tanker trucks rolling over it, you?
Yeah, we was waiting for one of them last Thursday to come along down the old Albert Road.
And of all the days. they
Nothing
were-
showed, nothing.
Nothing showed. So is there any further discussion on this item? Okay, we have a motion before us to approve an agreement to issue the over-limit permit for construction equipment for the Maine Department of Transportation project, as enumerated earlier. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried 2-1. Okay. The chair will accept a motion, or entertain a motion for warrants for bills and payroll.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the warrants for bills and payroll. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. The chair will entertain a motion to accept the minutes of March 20th, 2012, regular meeting.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the minutes of March 20th, 2012, regular meeting of the Board of Selectmen. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. Pending decisions, we have the public service announcement, which are...
That piece right there is waiting for a piece of equipment that Dave is buying, and when it gets in here and he has a chance to use it, then we'll have an update on that.
And that purchase was made possible by the good citizens of the special
Town meeting. Yeah.
We approved the upgrades to our broadcasting equipment here.
Which, by the way, didn't cost taxpayers anything. It was just moving money that was allocated for that process.
Right.
But
The review to the driveway opening permit language. Both of the people that are discussing that are not available to each other. One is out of the country, and one is in Oklahoma. Minnesota.
Which is out of the country.
Which is out of the main country. Yep. Board and committee status, as indicated, we have a loss to the finance committee, so if anyone is interested in applying for that, we certainly would welcome it. Water district survey, we have a gentleman that will be appearing before us in April, is that it from, okay, that we'll discuss that survey. The water district office space lease, I know that you've been in contact with Dave Benton from the water district on that. Is there any update? Or?
Yes, he came in Monday and we answered all of his questions, and he'll take it at the next meeting.
Oh, okay. The Eagle Scout project, we were hoping to get an update on that this evening, but I guess circumstances beyond our control has prevented that from happening, so therefore we will continue to have that under the pending section. The internet and electronic mail policy revision, I believe it's being worked on by the town administrator at this time. The week's action list, I think we need to respond back to Maine Department of Transportation with their agreement that was voted on tonight.
It's in the folder.
It's in the folder? Okay. Discussion of agenda items. I know that we have the issue of the signaling devices on Route 5. Is there...
And probably, maybe an update, possibly an update on the hiring of the CEO.
Okay. We'll add that.
I'd like to have a discussion on the purchase policy and bidding policy.
Put that on there. Is there a specific...
I'd just like to know what is our policy guidelines on putting things out to bid. I mean, I know it's written out here. Does that apply to highway projects and other projects as well, besides purchasing items? And how that works?
Purchasing what?
Well, this basically talks about purchasing equipment
Yeah.
or items, okay? And
It says for goods and services, so... it
I
would-
know, but I'm talking about bidding work for highways, road work, et cetera, et cetera.
For all road work or projects?
Everything.
Going to bid up for everything?
I'd just like to know what is the policy, Nancy, okay? I mean, I've
Okay,
had,
well, I know there's exceptions because it put in an hourly rate
I know,
contract.
I
and
need that to be explained so I can explain it to people in the public.
In other words, the question is this universally followed?
Yeah,
And
and-
is it, and are there some areas that it's not followed, and explaining why it isn't
Right,
followed?
and, you know, explaining exemptions from competitive bidding, et cetera, et cetera, you know? I mean, I've had a lot of people come to me saying, what about this and that? And I can't answer them straight out, you know?
So the major area probably where chunks of money gets spent and complicated is road work. Other than that, is this pretty well followed? Yeah. But road projects where there may be a, $15,000, it happens real quick.
Well, those are usually repairs.
Yeah.
I guess,
I really don't know, we really haven't done any major road work.
Well, we've got some jobs coming up, okay?
Yeah, as of July 1st.
Yeah, and they may or may not be approved, but how are we gonna handle those?
Yeah.
You know?
Okay.
yeah, I see one thing that I'm at least confused about. On the scope of the policy, it says, for the purchase of all town goods and services. And then, under the exemptions, it said contract for professional services. So that seems to
That,
contradict each
no,
other.
that professional services is something different. That would be like Jerry's, it's two different. This one is for purchasing items that you need for operation of the town.
All right,
Contracts for professional services, different.
I guess an argument could be made that a general contractor is a professional in the construction business, and he's providing a service. And maybe it just needs to be defined more, I understand.
Well, we don't have a contract for a contractor.
Could you
No, but when
maybe,
it goes out to bid, don't we
You would
award them
have.
the contract?
You would then, but that is entirely different than going out to bid. It's two different things.
maybe, you know, if we give Nancy a week, and if you could kind of walk us through this and just say, this is how it's used, and if there's any areas that are gray, then explain those, how you use it. And if there's anything that needs to be changed in it, and further defined, you red flag that.
Okay.
And then you can make a report to us on how you use that.
Yeah, if there is a specific incident, I would kind of like to know about it, so we can compare what was done with what should have been done, and to see if it was done correctly or it wasn't. That, you know, either we followed it or it didn't happen that way. It's a little easier to, you know, we have that scope, but if it's just a broad generalization of, you know, how it's supposed to function,
I mean, you've been using this for a while, so maybe you can just assess how it's working and where, you know, how is it used absolutely, or is it used except for?
do we have that scheduled for an agenda item? Okay.
Well, one of the things that was thrown at me was the, Old Alfred, the Oak Street ditching and stuff, and the Mass Camp Road. And, I mean, there may be jobs that we can do in-house cheaper than we can go outside, you know, which I don't have a problem saying, heck, you know, in our opinion, this is a better way of handling it. But how do I answer those things, you know? What is the cutoff? What are the standards that we use for bidding? I just don't know.
I know that, at least in the Mass Camp Road, that the town does not have the equipment to do that. We either have to lease, rent, or hire out for that type of equipment. And I know that the current road commissioner is seeking, you know, town approval for a small excavator. But even at that, the small excavator certainly wouldn't have been able to handle the Mass Camp Road. It may have been able to handle the ditching and so forth down at the Oak Street and Hemlock Street area when they put in the sewage, the water drainage lines. I see where you're, yeah.
I mean, we got the policy here, now the question is
How
it being
it's
used
how it's
completely?
applied.
And if it's not, why not, and does there need to be a change?
Well, the old Alfred Road didn't come under this policy anyways.
I beg your pardon?
The old Alfred Road drainage was before this policy.
Yeah. Okay, well, there you go.
Mass Camp Road actually was too. That was just about finished.
Okay, so that's on the next year's, I mean, not next year, but next week's agenda.
Did we have something in
We had
place prior
something,
to
yeah.
that? Do
We
we
got
have?
an old, I'll have to,
So if there are inconsistencies with the other one, there must have been, obviously must have been something, or we wouldn't have adopted this, to correct flaws in the other one. Okay. All set to move on? Reminders, Thursday, March 29th at 11 a.m., Kathy Goodwin from Susan Collins' office will hold office hours from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the town hall to discuss any issue or concern that you may have. On Monday, April 2nd at 7 p.m., the Charter Review Commission will meet in the Old Town Hall. On Tuesday, April 3rd at 6 p.m., the Selectmen's meeting will take place at the Town Hall with reports from the SRC TV Board and Cable TV Committee. On Wednesday, April 4th at 6 p.m., the 2020 Master Planning Committee will meet at Central Fire Station. On Wednesday, April 4th at 7 p.m., the Planning Board will meet at the Town Hall. On Monday, April 9th at 6 p.m., the Road Review Committee will meet at the Old Town Hall. Also on Monday, April 9th at 7 p.m., the Parks and Recreation Committee will meet at the Old Town Hall. On Tuesday, April 10th at 6 p.m., the Selectmen's meeting will take place at the Town Hall with reports from the Road Review Committee and the Road Commissioner. On Wednesday, April 11th at 6 p.m., the Road Review Committee will again meet at the Old Town Hall. On Thursday, April 12th at 6:30 p.m., Old Home Days Committee will meet at the Old Town Hall. On Thursday, April 12th at 7 p.m., the Finance Committee will meet at the Old Town Hall. And on Saturday, April 14th at 8:30 a.m., the cribbage tournament will take place at the Old Town Hall. And once again, I'll mention that the Maine Magic, Waterboro's Parks and Recreation 8th grade boys basketball tournament will be this weekend. So if anyone can certainly make that and cheer on the team, I'm sure they would greatly appreciate that. And if there is nothing further from any member of the board,
I shall move that we adjourn.
Second.
it's been moved and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor? Opposed? The motion's carried. Good night, everyone.